Elijah Brooks, a wealthy black man, arrived at an elite hotel as a respected client, only to be met with cold stares and the refusal of his reservation, under the guise of upholding standards. Deeply wounded by this humiliation, he leaves the hotel with a determination to return, but not as a guest. The entire staff begins preparing for the arrival of the mysterious new owner, and the manager, unaware of who his new boss will be, expects a familiar face. What happens next will surprise even the most experienced among them. But let's start from the beginning. Elijah Brooks, a tall black man in his 50s with a confident stance, approaches the front desk of the luxurious Orion Hotel. He's dressed in an elegant dark suit and carries an expensive briefcase, all signs of a respected, affluent individual. Elijah had reserved the hotel's most expensive suite in advance and arrived to personally assess a potential purchase, a fact known only to his attorney and a few high-level hotel employees. As soon as Elijah approaches the desk, his gaze meets the cold eyes of the manager, a man named Marcus Reeves, who appears to be in his 40s and has a polished, almost disdainful smile. Without a greeting, Marcus refuses to check the reservation, brusquely stating, "I'm afraid we don't have any rooms available at the moment." Elijah calmly informs him that he booked the suite in advance and is prepared to confirm his details, but Marcus doesn't even glance at the computer. He adds with a hint of contempt, "The hotel generally doesn't accept guests without a recommendation. This isn't a place for casual visitors." Tension begins to build around them as other guests discreetly observe, catching every word. Elijah asks if there's an opportunity to speak with the manager, but Marcus, maintaining his arrogant smile, responds that it would be pointless since the decision to refuse has already been made. Elijah, holding back his emotions, takes a deep breath and attempts to explain that he always chooses the finest hotels, where clients are appreciated. At that moment, Marcus leans in and quietly says, "Places like ours prefer to maintain certain standards. You understand, don't you?" Elijah freezes at the overt hint of discrimination, but chooses not to respond, keeping his composure. As he turns to leave, he catches the eyes of other guests who have been watching, seeing in their expressions both curiosity and indifference. Without a word, Elijah leaves the hotel. Behind his restrained expression lies anger and disappointment, yet with a firm resolve to return and transform this place forever. A few days later, excitement fills the Orion Hotel. The staff is expecting the arrival of a new owner, a person who has chosen to remain anonymous. The staff has been instructed not to disclose his visit, and they've been ordered to be exceptionally polite and attentive. Marcus Reeves, aware of the importance of the day, feels nervous but doesn't show it, hoping to make a good impression on the management. He was informed that the new owner would be arriving incognito to assess the hotel's atmosphere, which only adds to the tension. In the morning, right on time, Elijah Brooks enters the lobby, once again in a perfect suit, with the confident bearing of a self-assured man. This time, however, he's not alone. He's accompanied by his attorney and two assistants dressed in formal suits. Elijah heads directly to the reception desk, and when Marcus spots him, he momentarily loses his composure. He recognizes the man to whom he recently denied a room, and his irritation flares up again. Believing this random guest has returned to cause a scene, Marcus says coldly, "You're here again? Do you think anything has changed?" Elijah remains silent, glancing at his attorney, and Marcus, seeing this reaction, raises his eyebrows. "Today is an important day for us," he says, looking down at Elijah, "and we'd prefer not to see uninvited guests here." The surrounding guests and staff members freeze, their attention riveted on this scene. At that moment, the attorney, noticing that Marcus has once again crossed the line, turns to him and announces loudly, "Allow me to introduce Mr. Elijah Brooks, the new owner of the Orion Hotel." A stunned silence follows. Marcus turns pale, realizing the full scale of his blunder, but he can't hide his shock and confusion. He steps back, his confidence crumbling. Finally, Elijah breaks his silence. "Isn't it interesting that you consider certain standards more important than respecting people?" Marcus attempts to defend himself, awkwardly mumbling that he misunderstood the situation. But Elijah, ignoring his excuses, requests that all staff members be gathered for a meeting scheduled for that very day. That evening, the entire staff of the Orion Hotel gathers in the conference room. On stage stands Elijah Brooks, calm but with a resolute expression. His presence stirs excitement and slight tension, especially among those who witnessed the scene at the reception. Marcus, seated in the front row, is desperately trying to hide his discomfort and fear, but his confidence is shattered. Elijah begins the meeting by sharing a personal story. He talks about how he started his career by launching his first business with no initial capital, facing doubt and prejudice along the way. He speaks openly and honestly about moments when he was judged solely by the color of his skin, explaining how this experience drove him to create businesses where everyone is treated with respect. The staff, including Marcus, listens intently, captivated. The candor and power of his words prompt many to see him in a new light, with some beginning to feel a deep sense of respect. Then Elijah moves to specifics. He announces a complete overhaul of the hotel's policies to make it a welcoming and respectful place for people from all backgrounds and cultures. From now on, the Orion will have a zero-tolerance policy on discrimination, and every employee will be required to undergo training on inclusivity and respect. Murmurs of approval ripple through the room, though many anxiously await what will happen next. Turning to Marcus, Elijah shifts his tone sharply. I've met many people who thought themselves superior because of their position or appearance. Such people have no place in my hotel, he says, addressing the room. Marcus has unfortunately shown his worst side and must be held accountable. Marcus attempts to stand, starting to defend himself by claiming his actions were only meant to protect the hotel's reputation. He practically pleads, insisting that this case was an exception. But Elijah cuts him off, stating, "Your behavior is not an exception. It's a system I'm here to dismantle." Elijah formally announces that Marcus is terminated, effective immediately, with his contract revoked and no recommendation letter. The shocked faces in the room say it all. Many can't believe it, but they begin to understand that a new set of rules will now reign at the Orion. Elijah's story and his victory over discrimination at the Orion quickly become known, thanks to social media. One of the staff members recorded the new owner's speech and posted it online. The video goes viral, picked up by local news channels. People across the city are inspired by Elijah's actions, his resolve, and the way he put those who underestimated him in their place. Soon, the Orion Hotel starts attracting a new, more diverse clientele who find it a place where everyone feels welcome. Elijah bets on a fresh approach. He offers discounts to locals, supports charitable programs, and hosts cultural events, turning the Orion into a symbol of change and progress. Now the hotel exudes an atmosphere of respect and inclusivity. Each staff member feels valued, and guests notice it in the service. Marcus, left without a job or a reputation, struggles to find new employment. But news of his dismissal has spread quickly within the industry. He realizes that he may never return to his previous status and starts to understand how much his discriminatory mindset has hurt not only others, but himself as well. His humiliating downfall forces him to reevaluate his stance, yet for many, he remains a symbol that the era of prejudice is passing. Elijah becomes not only the hotel owner, but also an influential figure in the business community. His example inspires other entrepreneurs, sparking a trend in the city toward rethinking corporate culture. The Orion Hotel becomes a destination for people seeking not just luxury, but also the chance to support a new movement against bias. Elijah finally finds inner peace, knowing his struggle was worthwhile. He's created a place where people are valued not for the color of their skin, but for their character and respect for others.